MainStreetResearch.ca. Are you 18 years old, a Canadian citizen, and eligible to vote? That is the survey from Main Street Research, which I'll play in the video. But let's look at their website and see how the main web page looks different from the actual PDFs in their data. And then we'll look at some betting information. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Canada Wide. This is a poll that called me up today. Oh, it's on Conservative and it's flipped to Liberal. And what would it be? Majority. You know how biased this poll seems for Main Street Research? And I'm going to show a poll that says something a lot different. But for example, this one, they paid someone to do an animation and they said it has to end at a Liberal majority and then we're going to have a polling system, which seems so biased that they do that stuff. Let's look at where the polls sit right now. And most of them have here, there's about 1,300 people, 1,500 people, and Main Street Research is right here, 1,300, 1,400 people. So they're all very low, but they're all saying red on here. But there's this new poll that I saw. Let me flip to it here. We have a polling system here with 68,000 votes in it. And look, it had a 63%, two-thirds are Pierre Poilievre. So this is a massive poll. And I think this is showing the big wave of people that what vote is going to happen. And I did a vote as well. I went there at 11 a.m. and there was a 30-minute wait. So I decided to come back later. And at 4 o'clock, it was very empty anyway. So I just walked in and did it like that too. And it was a pencil, which is very puzzling why they would have that pencil in there too when you do the vote. But this looks like a great wave that's happening, and I think this is telling a lot of stories that people are showing up early at the advanced polling because they were just frustrated as hell with what's going on. So that's this one polling system right here out of all of them, and Main Street Research has them right here, Conservatives at 40 points. But their website, this really sucks that they fake this data, I think, in my opinion, here too. Let's look at a video now. What would happen if Mark Carney did not win his seat? Let's have a look at that.
What do you have for us today? It's a wide range of questions, certainly, Arthea, especially now as we approach the election. There's a lot of what-if type questions. The one that we'll profile this hour comes from someone named Grignano. That's the only name we have. They're doing this sort of single name Madonna Prince type thing. Grignano asks, I'm writing to better understand what happens to Mark Carney if he loses in Nepean, but the Liberal Party wins nationally. The answer, Grignano, in short, is we basically end up in the exact same situation that we are in now. The Liberals would have the run of the House of Commons. Mark Carney would continue to be the prime minister. However, just as he stands right now, he would not have a seat. And the same thing would happen whether the Conservatives and Pierre Poilievre win the election or the NDP and Jagmeet Singh win the election. We do not elect prime ministers in this country. Now, if specifically with the Mark Carney question, if the Liberals win the election and Mark Carney ends up being prime minister again without a seat, the question then becomes strategy and optics, as it often is in politics. What would the Liberals do from there? Would they wait for a by-election to come up, possibly throw Mark Carney into there and hope that he wins? Would they ask a candidate in a safe riding to step aside, have a by-election there in a riding where they know certainly Mark Carney would win? If they did do that, it's not a particularly good look for the party, certainly right after an election where he wasn't able to win his seat. So that would be the interesting thing there is strategically, what would the Liberal Party do? But to answer Grignano's question in short, we would just essentially go back to the situation that we're in right now, the situation that many people are quite uncomfortable with, having Mark Carney be prime minister without a seat in the House of Commons. So I hope that answers your question, Grignano. I hope I pronounced your name right. It's a fun one to say.
Mark Carney, if he loses his riding with Barbara Ball, and he did an event at religious location, and he didn't realize that Barbara Ball actually got married there, and everyone there was at Barbara Ball's wedding, which is so ridiculous as well. So if he doesn't win his seats and the Liberals win a minority, then there'll be another election in 18 months, another. Ugh. It just keeps going on, this nightmare of the Liberals. Now, let's look at this next video.
I had what many would describe as a rude awakening this morning in discovering at 4:30 in the morning, a phone call from people in other time zones within the Green Party team, that something quite unbelievable had happened. That the Debates Commission had reversed themselves after painstakingly reviewing the various ways in which the Green Party of Canada met all the criteria that they had put before us to participate in the leaders' debates. I stand before you with many more scars than any other political leader in Canada, having been variously rejected from debates, working my way back into the debates, having rules change arbitrarily during the process of deciding who could be in debates, going back to the first debate in which I participated so long ago that I was debating Stephen Harper and Gilles Duceppe and Stéphane Dion, Jack Layton, on a stage in 2008, where I'd been told by, at that point, the debates were run by something called the Consortium, a group of media networks that decided who would be in and who would be out. And the rule was always, for many, many years, going back to the 1960s, that if you had a member of parliament at the point of dissolution, Richard, I think we're hearing you here.
90% candidates, 3% polling.
Richard?
Sitting in
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So yeah, the rules over the years have changed and shifted, and the rule makers have changed and shifted. In 2008, an independent MP joined the Green Party specifically to help me make sure that the Greens were in the debates. Other party leaders objected. I could go through all of my experience with debates, and it would take too long. The consistency in it is its inconsistency. A desire by larger parties to keep out the Green Party, a desire by establishment forces, whether editorial boards like the Globe and Mail or the National Post, to exclude Greens, to increasingly move to a two-party system. It's been an extraordinary experience and one that I wouldn't care to repeat, and I really thought that with the creation of the Debates Commission, that period of inconsistency, shifting rules, and last-minute decisions to exclude the Green Party would be over. That's why it was such a rude awakening. I could not have believed it was possible that after we established that we met all of the criteria to be in the debates, confirmed as recently as a week ago by the Debates Commission, and we were in a period of an interregnum there where it takes a while to find out how many of your nominated candidates have been confirmed. Returning officers have to look at the signatures. And I'm sorry, we've got phones ringing on top of my podium, and I don't know what to do, Aisha. I'm sorry.
Get it together.
Maybe I don't know. If the phones are ringing, I feel like I should answer them, but they're not for me, really. They're just listening in. Sorry for the confusion. Sorry.
Man, she's
Again,
drunk.
To recap, so that it's a coherent clip for you, since 2008, when I first participated in the leaders' debates on behalf of the Green Party of Canada, I've experienced unfairness in many ways, larger parties colluding with each other to exclude the Greens by boycotting the debates until they get canceled, various things, every election a fight. Now, after the 2015 election, the Debates Commission was established because it was very clear that for the point of view of effective and functioning democracy, when we had clear rules and you were allowed in the debates if you had a sitting member of parliament, the Debates Commission was created when, after the 2015 election, the decision by two leaders to boycott the debates got the debates canceled. At the time the government looked at this, the Debates Commission looked at this and said, look, when you had clear rules, when there was one English language debate and one French language debate sponsored by the national networks, millions of people watched it. The following election in 2015, only a couple 100,000 people saw the various boutique debates put on by Maclean's, the Globe and Mail, and other entities, and including Radio-Canada. The Debates Commission was created for the very reason that we needed fair, consistent, neutral, and impartial application of rules. I think the Debates Commission was doing a really good job until today. when they made, and to call it last minute is an understatement. We've been talking to them, and when I say we, the national campaign team of the Green Party of Canada, who've been the contact people for the Debates Commission for months now, we're in conversation and explaining, yes, we met all three of your criteria, and they were nodding and agreeing. There's been a really large pressure campaign mounted on the Debates Commission to get them to reverse themselves. If it stands, if the public isn't able to do, if people who are outraged by this don't speak up now, we will once again have skewed, unfair, and undemocratic leaders' debates, starting with this evening's. Yesterday, the Debates Commission was able to make a sudden change of plan to move up the debate by 2 hours to avoid the conflict with the hockey game. Clearly, they can make decisions. They can make them the day of, and they can reverse themselves because this decision is anti-democratic, as my co-leader Jonathan Pedneau explained this morning in a much earlier press conference held in Montreal. As co-leaders, we both speak for the party, and we speak with one voice. This is anti-democratic. This is a mistake. Jonathan Pedneau will be on the stage tonight, and we ask for the help of the public to support that a party with over 200 candidates running in every single province, running in the Yukon and the Northwest Territories, candidates across this country with 2 elected members of parliament sitting at the time of dissolution, 1 from Ontario, 1 from BC, with candidates primed to win in their seats in BC, in Ontario, in New Brunswick. How is it, and how will Canadians feel about a debate that's supposed to be fair, where every Canadian across Canada and everyone outside Quebec with no chance whatsoever to find a Bloc Québécois candidate on their ballot will hear a full opportunity from Yves-François Blanchet, and I'm not for 1 minute suggesting Mr. Blanchet doesn't belong on that stage, but the contrast is extraordinary, and I ask Canadians to think about this. Every single voter in every province in this country will have an opportunity to hear from the leader of the Bloc Québécois, but with Green Party candidates on the ballot in every single province, the Northwest Territories and Yukon, not hear from the Green Party of Canada, with 2 sitting MPs, which was always the test. I take some of people in the media will remember as far back as the early 90s, when Preston Manning got on the stage in the leaders' debate on the strength of having had 1 candidate win in the by-election, Deb Gray's reform, was sufficient for the leaders' debates that year to include Preston Manning. It was the launching pad for the Reform Party that eventually became essentially the majority government in this country because it cannibalized the Progressive Conservatives. Look, I'm going to stop and take your questions, but this is a really critical moment for Canadian democracy.
And how much money have the Liberals spent on climate change? $200 billion. Think about how much that could have helped Canada to reach its 2% GDP. $20 billion would have done that. So it's just so sad that all this money has left Canada and gone to these big corporations. And I think Brookfield is part of that as well. It's so infuriating. And Mark Carney wants to print more money now for more investments. And what are those investments going to be? Those investments are going to help Brookfield make money and just make Canadians' lives. You just live in I don't know, a trailer that the government owns, and you better vote for Liberal and you better listen to what they have to say on the news, and you'll get a better rate, which will be expensive. It's so sad. Let's look at the next part is the audio call from the survey company and what they had to say. Thanks for watching, and I'll put it on right now.
At mainstreetresearch.ca. If you wish to take this survey in English, please press 1. Si vous souhaitez répondre à ce question, now to start, are you 18 years old, a Canadian citizen, and eligible to vote? Press 1 for yes. Are we reaching you on a landline or cell phone? Press 1 for cell phone. Press 2 for landline. If a federal election were held today, which candidate or party would you vote for? Press 1 for the NDP, led by Jagmeet Singh. I don't know if it's... Press 2 for the Liberal Party, led by Mark Carney. Press 3 for the Conservative Party, led by Pierre Poilievre. I'm going to say Liberal. Press 4. And in the last federal election, 2021, how did you vote, if you recall? Press 1 for the Liberal Party, led by Justin Trudeau. Press 2 for the Conservative Party, led by Aaron O'Toole. Press 3 for the NDP, led by Yves-François Blanchet. Press 5 for the Green Party, led by Annamie Paul. Press 6 for the People's Party, led by Maxime Bernier. Press 7 for Other. Press 8 if you don't recall. Press 9 if you did not vote. I'm repeating, I didn't hear it. And do you have a favorable or unfavorable view of Pierre Poilievre? Press 1 for strongly favorable. Press 2 for somewhat favorable. Press 3 for somewhat unfavorable. Press 4 for strongly unfavorable. Press 5 for don't know. We'll say in the middle because I want it to continue. Do you have a favorable or unfavorable view of Mark Carney? Press 1 for strongly favorable. Press 2 for somewhat favorable. Press 3 for somewhat unfavorable. Press 4 for strongly unfavorable. Press 5 for don't know. The government should provide addicts with free pharmaceutical opioids like hydromorphone and fentanyl, with no expectation that they consume these drugs under medical supervision to dissuade use of riskier street substances. Press 1 for strongly agree. Press 2 for somewhat agree. Press 3 for somewhat disagree. Press 4 for strongly disagree. Press 5 for don't know. I'll take it. Now some questions about you for statistical purposes. What is your gender or identity? Press 1 if you are male. Press 2 if you are female. And how old are you? Press 1 if you are under 35 years old. Press 2 if you are between 35 and 49. Press 3. What is your highest level of education? Press 1 for high school or less. Press 2 for college or trade school. Press 3 for university. What is your annual household income level? Press 1 for less than $50,000. Press 2 for between $50,000 and $75,000. Press 3 for between $75,000 and $100,000. Press 4 for more than $100,000. Press 5 for don't want to say. Which province or region do you live in? Press 1 for British Columbia. Press 2 for Alberta. Press 3 for Saskatchewan and Manitoba. Press 4 for Ontario. Press 5 for Quebec. Which of the following regions best describes where you live? Press 1 for Toronto. Press 2 for Halton, Peel. Which race category best describes you? Press 1 for white. Press 2 for black. Press 3 for East Asian. Press 4 for Latino. Press 5 for Middle Eastern. Press 6 for South Asian. Press 7 for Southeast Asian. Press 8 for First Nations, Inuit, or Métis. Press 9 for multiracial or other. Again, this was Main Street Research on behalf of Discussions Canada. We can be reached at 866-315-3622 or by email at info@mainstreetresearch.ca.